How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? We're back after a week off due to some interesting things that were happening around the world of sports. But we are back to talk Orange County Soccer Club with you, and we are definitely excited about that. This is the Orange and Black Soccer Cast.
Towards the near post, deflects, and it's in. Darwin Jones with the response for Orange County. And it is a massive one. Off the goal, dominant in the last 7.
Forrester in the middle now, gets around a few defenders. Forrester with the outside right foot. What a strike by Harry Forrester. It's the opening goal for Orange County.
He's looking confused. Heads it down, back post. Opportunity and a goal. A beautiful goal by Orange County.
This is the Orange and Black Soccer Cast, the first and only podcast dedicated to Orange County Soccer Club, its fans, and supporters. Follow us on Twitter at OCSC_SoccerCast or on Facebook at Orange and Black Soccer Cast.
How's it going, Orange County? Welcome to another episode of the Orange and Black Soccer Cast, presented by Roughneck Scarves. We are the first and only podcast dedicated to Orange County Soccer Club, its fans, and supporters. I'm your host, Ray Samora, and I am with you each and every episode as we discuss all things Orange County Soccer Club. And joining me as he does each and every one of those episodes, we've got Dylan from County Line Coalition. Dylan, how's it going?
Well, it's going well. I appreciate everyone. So sorry about that. I appreciate everyone ditching the State of the Union to come listen to us talk about soccer.
Hey, we appreciate any and every viewer and listener we can get, even if we're competing with something as, I guess, important as that.
No,
also,
we're way more important. Let's be real.
Hey, soccer rules the world, right? Also, as always, at least since the beginning of last season, we've got Alan from San Diego. Alan, how are things going doing double duty now, covering or talking about two soccer teams each and every week?
Yeah, it's been really fun. It's interesting to walk into places where there's a lot of soccer people and they're like, hey, you're the guy who knows about USL. And I'm like, yes, I am like one of 5 people, I think, who know things about the USL in San Diego right now. So there's a lot of learning, a lot of teaching, and a lot of great discussions, and it's great to be part of that.
Perfect. And we do have a special guest here to join us. And because I'm always horrible, even though I just was talking to Dylan about names and hopeful correct pronunciations, I'm actually handed off to Dylan because I'm bad at this. I've messed it up every single time I've tried. So Dylan, can you welcome our guest?
Yes, our guest is Seth Casiple, formerly of Reno 1868 fame.
Yes. Thanks for having me.
I
on,
said the
guys.
right person, right? Oh my God.
You did. Thanks. And that is the appropriate way to pronounce my last name. So kudos.
It's one of those, when you look at the spelling of the last name, unless you really know how to do it, I think there's probably about 4 or 5 different pronunciations people have probably tried for that. Seth, what's the weirdest or most random pronunciation of your last name you've heard?
A lot of people, because it's spelled Casiple, and a lot of people read it and then put the P before the I. It's a little strange to say Caspilli. Even when you read it, it doesn't even read like that. So that's kind of the one that I always laugh at.
Perfect. So welcome. First of all, welcome to Orange County, California. You were with Reno last season. Reno, we have a pretty good relationship podcast wise with the guys up there. I don't know if you ever interacted with any of their podcast guys up there, but you're now here in Southern California. How are you enjoying Southern California? Has the weather been treating you okay? Or I think you may have brought some of the cold Reno weather with you.
Yeah, I mean, if you can call it cold in Reno right now, it's below 30s at night. So I'm loving it here. I mean, I walk outside in a t-shirt and everybody's all bundled up. I have no problems.
Perfect. And have you made any trips to any local beaches since you've been down?
Yes, yeah. So I've gone to Laguna Beach twice. Once was beautiful and sunny, and then the next it's nice and sunny, kind of inland in Orange County, and then I get to the beach and it's cloudy and overcast. So that was a good little learning experience.
Perfect. Now, you had a pretty solid season with Reno last season. I know we reached out to some of our friends up there for 1868 Weekly, and they mentioned you're a pretty solid midfielder, but I think the biggest strength they also, or one of the bigger strengths they were giving you as well, is just you're a solid locker room presence for a team, which maybe when you look at Orange County last year, maybe there was a little bit of that lacking, maybe some sort of cohesion with the team. What do you do to bring that type of positive locker room atmosphere to a team?
First, I appreciate that. John Macaluso runs the Daily Week, the 1868 podcast up there, and he's a good guy. But I'd say just kind of my personality, like I want to get all the guys together and want to make sure that, we spend time off the field and we get to know each other, on a personal level, just so that people feel comfortable. Someone's having problems in their life and they're unhappy, and we just want to make sure that doesn't roll over to on the field stuff. Something happens with family, something happens with a loved one, making sure to be able to say, hey man, is everything all right? And I think that goes a long way, just in kind of being human and making sure that they know that it's not always about results and stuff that counts in towards of, how I care for someone. It's definitely making sure that they're good, they're happy and they're being taken care of, and just people helping people.
Perfect. And you're jumping into a team that I guess you probably would hear a lot of fans talk about. Midfield is probably the most solid position here in Orange County. What are you working on, or what are your plans to solidify yourself as a key part of that midfield for Orange County?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think the midfield here is solid, a very talented group, hardworking group. So I'm just making sure to try and make a good impression, make sure that the staff and my teammates know that I'll work hard, no matter what, regardless of what form. I'll make sure that I'm running as hard as I can for the minutes that I'm given. And then, make team first, really. Just if the team does well, we all do well, individually and as a group. So just, fitting in by making sure that we're all on the same page.
Perfect. And I don't want to hog all the questions. I'm going to hand it off to Dylan and or Alan, if either of you have a question for Seth here.
Alan, why don't you go ahead, since you are also from San Diego?
That's kind of where I was going. You played youth soccer growing up, Southern California. Now there's kind of a growth of professional opportunities in the Southern California area. How important would that have been when you were growing up to see some of these professional opportunities, that especially the younger signees that Orange County has been able to bring in? What would that have meant for you when you were in your youth clubs in Southern California?
I think it would have been massive. Shout out San Diego Sockers. That was our best view at like a high level, really, growing up. And it definitely would have provided more opportunities, more motivation. There already is a bunch, just because Galaxy, and then now it would be LAFC, but Galaxy mostly, they had their eyes down there. And there's such a large soccer community and a lot of competition. It would have been really impactful just to kind of have a motivation to know that there is something local that you could maybe get a bite of, rather than having to move up north.
And then, what does this mean for you now as a professional? Seeing some of these kids get those opportunities, what role do you see now that you're this, an established veteran of a professional soccer league? What role do you now see with those youth players that you get to kind of maybe take under your wing? Yeah.
It's actually a really interesting dynamic, because I'm old, 26, but still spry and lively, and I want to compete, and I obviously want minutes. I want to make it as competitive as possible. So I think it's trying to create an environment of competitiveness, being hard and making sure that they're held accountable, but then also letting them understand exactly what it means to be playing for money. I think that's the best way to explain it. It's a team sport, but if I'm playing, that means that the guys that also play my position are not. And that's a difficult relationship to have in a locker room with a young guy that's coming in that wants to learn, and he needs minutes to be able to gain experience, but it's my job to keep him off the field. So I think it's definitely interesting. I like being, some kind of a model, taking experiences and examples and trying to explain why I did something or why I didn't do something. And then also understanding that they need opportunities and then trying to help them make the most of those opportunities.
May I hand it off to Dylan. Do you have a question for Seth?
Yeah, I guess I got a couple for you, Seth. Well, I think first off, you mentioned that you're going to run. You're going to try your hardest. I think that's going to go a long way here. I think that's something that's been missing over the last season, maybe. But more importantly, where do you think you best fit on the pitch? Regardless of formation, where do you think your best position is?
I think my best position is like a box-to-box midfielder type. I think my areas to improve are definitely defensively, but I'm willing to work and willing to learn. But following on that trend of kind of that locker room guys, I'm just a team first. I want to move the ball. I want to make everybody happy. So and I like going forward. So I think my best spot is really being able to contribute and provide for our attacking players, and then also love to work and track and tackle and make sure that we have the ball for as long as possible.
Love to hear it. My second question is not nearly as serious. What's your favorite vegetable? And, if you can give us a recipe with involving it, I guess, or how you prepare it.
Favorite vegetable? Right now I'd say my favorite vegetable is a butternut squash, and then a butternut squash soup, roasted butternut squash soup. Just real easy. Cut it, season it, and then you get to wait while it bakes, and then throw it into a blender, and there you go. You got soup.
Actually sounds really good right now with the way the weather's been here in Southern California as well. Let me ask you this, because you do have the ties with San Diego. You mentioned the Sockers. I know Aiden Quinn has the ties there as well. We sort of joked with Aiden when he was on the show about maybe reenacting or recreating that wonderful soccer video that his father was in, doing some dancing and whatnot. What can we do to encourage us to maybe you and Aiden could team up and get the guys together and recreate that awesome moment for Orange County Soccer Club?
I'll have to hop on YouTube and check this out. I'm not entirely sure what you're talking about, but Aiden's a good guy. I'm sure with proper motivation, he'd be willing to get onto some kind of video and do that. I'll bring it up.
Yeah, it'd be pretty awesome. Yeah, go check out that video. It's just sort of a classic. I don't know if you remember back in the 80s or if you've seen any of the 80s videos where all these sports teams were trying to do like music videos, I guess promoting teamwork or marketing their team like that. The Chicago Bears do that in NFL. And there's a video, I'm sure Alan, if I asked him to, could find it somewhere on the interwebs there. And last question for you, and then we'll let you go for the evening is, what's your go-to karaoke song? If you're out for a night of fun and you're going to go sing a song, what song would you sing?
I'd have to go with, I can't even think of the name of it right now, but the Tarzan, Phil Collins song, like the main one. Oh man, it's the name of it is escaping me.
Give us a taste of it since you can't remember that name.
No, I don't know about that. That's for a night out.
Is it the? I think I know which one you're talking about. I'm in your same shoes. I can't quite get the name out of it, but I think I know exactly what you're talking about. We'll have to look that up and post that out there once we can confirm that name. Really quick before we let you head out, Seth, is there anything you want to share with the fans? Any messages or anything like that?
Yeah. Just I'm excited to be here. I'm thankful to the club and the staff and stuff for bringing me in. I've been welcomed really well, and I'm excited. I think we're doing a lot of good work right now. Been working hard through this first 3 weeks of preseason, and I think that everybody will be happy this year.
Perfect. Yeah, I think from what we're hearing with some of the players we've talked to and the front office, it's an exciting time to be an Orange County Soccer Club fan. It looks like they're really trying to get some things put together. The partnership with Rangers, some things they're trying to do, just to make the experience for fans awesome. And all the fans can check out Seth and the rest of the Orange County Soccer Club soon here. It's about a month away, right? March 6th, which is a Friday night. come on out to Championship Soccer Stadium, cheer on Seth and the rest of Orange County Soccer Club. Dylan, I'm gonna let you take care of the outro because again, I don't want to mess up a name, even though we already mentioned it multiple times on this episode. I think I lost Dylan.
Seth Casiple. You'll get there. You have so many weeks.
There we go.
Yeah.
I promise by the end of the season, I will have it perfect. I will have it down. We've had a few players since we started this podcast where it takes me a few weeks to get it down. Even though you've told me it, I'm bad at ask anyone that listens to our show. I'm bad at pronunciations every once in a while.
No worries. No worries.
So Seth Casiple, midfielder for Orange County Soccer Club, thank you for joining us, and you have yourself a great evening.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on. I'm really excited.
Awesome. Thank you. So there we go. Dylan Allen, midfielder that has joined our club for this season, joining us from our good friends up there north in Reno. And again, speaking with Brad from 1868 Weekly, he had nothing but great stuff to say about Seth, that especially that he's a great teammate. And that he's going to help set up his new teammates, or at least when he was in Reno, he was great at setting up his teammates for some positive outcomes. How excited are you, Alan, that Seth is jumping into that midfield? Again, it's a tough position to come in, but it sounds like he's ready for the challenge, and hopefully it's a positive impact for the team, right?
Yeah, I think one of the things that was a little bit of an issue last year was a little bit of midfield depth. Trying to find the right guy for the right space. And when that kind of clicked toward the back end of the season, people kind of figured out their roles. Forrester moved back, allowed Aiden Quinn to not have to be as offensively minded. And I think that kind of helped him a little bit. The way that I think the West is going to play this year, you're going to need lots of midfield depth, both offensively, defensively, guys who can bring the ball forward to allow your front three guys to really attack the goal. And those box-to-box midfielders, I think, are going to be really important in the West because you're going to have to control the midfield. These long balls over the top for people to chase down can be effective at times, but I think the Western teams are going to try and put 5-6 guys forward, and you're going to need those offensive midfielders to really compete this year, I think.
And then let me jump to you really quick, Dylan. Last season, the team comes into the training camp. You have Aiden Quinn, you have Christian Duke, you have Charlie Adams, who had joined the team last season, and then you had a few young guys that were thrown in there. And you can even throw in like a Liam Trotter, who was, I think more of a midfielder than a defender, even though there was a lot of times last season, or not a lot of times, but there were some times last season where he was playing more back in a defensive center back role. It didn't quite work out. Injury to Christian Duke. Charlie Adams never quite found his fit with the team. So they had to rely on a young, trialist straight out of college in like Danny Crisostomo in the midfield. Looking at the roster this year, you got Aiden Quinn, of course, coming back. And now you have someone who's a solid producer there in Seth up in Reno, or coming from Reno. Are you a little bit more positive or excited about the way the midfield is shaped up, or is there still more that needs to be done to maybe complete it?
I mean, losing Christian Duke is a big, for lack of a better word, loss. That's a big hole to fill. I think that Danny and Seth will do a good job. I'll be tag teaming that, and then I think the kids from Rangers will hopefully kind of fill in the rest of it. But I don't know what to expect yet, and I haven't been able to see the team play. And usually we don't even start signing people by this time of the year. So I think in the next couple of weeks we'll probably have a really clear idea of just how strong we're going to be. And it's a 30 plus week season, so you need those guys. And barring any freak accidents, hopefully everyone's fit for all 30 plus weeks. So Seth, be careful when you're walking off the training pitch. Everyone else too. Seriously.
Yeah, no slipping. And I don't remember what the injury was, but no slipping and injuring your arm or any part of your body, really. Is we want a nice, healthy team coming into the season. And I think we're all hoping for a little bit stronger of a start than we had last season. I think it took about half a season. I remember all last season on our podcast, we kept saying, there's still time, there's still time, there's still time. And then when you got to about the 1/3 of the way through the season mark to about the halfway through, then I think we all started worrying a little bit, like, were they waiting too long to turn on? Luckily, they turned it on. They made a run. They got into the playoffs, just, sputtered a little bit there at the end when we got to the playoffs. So hopefully you come out stronger this season and you jump on towards the top and you're not clawing your way back up for this whole second half of the season, right?
Yeah, I think one thing that Coach Cloutier talked about last year was the first 10 games. Like at the end of the first 10 games, you have a better understanding where teams are going to be. It's always important to get out to a good start. But I also think in a small way, like if things aren't clicking right away, there's no reason to push the panic button because you do have quite a bit of a season to get back into it. There's going to be lots of ups and downs with teams. I mean, we saw what happened in New Mexico last year that started out hot and kind of faded toward the end. That's what RSL used to do. Not RSL, the other one, Monarchs. That's what the Monarchs used to do, start hot and die away. So I think that first 10 games is kind of that period of time where you're seeing the team come together. And it took a little bit longer than that last year with Orange County. It took a lot longer than that last year with Orange County, but it really turned on at the end. So if things aren't clicking quite right away, you got to trust that coaching staff is going to figure that out and start to make those corrections like they've seemingly to have done last year with just trying to find that right combination and right amount of players. And then you got injuries and such. But don't push that panic button right away, but it would be nice to come out a little bit hotter and get a few points under the belt, because that's maybe what separates a home playoff game at the end of the season from playing on the road.
Perfect. So let's jump onto this because Dylan sort of, I believe, brought up the Rangers loanees that we're getting. It was announced just a few days ago that Rangers had a few new players joining, Orange County had a few players coming over from Rangers on loan. And let's see, what are the names here? We got Danny Finlayson. I not really up to Scottish pronunciation, if that is in fact a Scottish name or Irish name or whatever. I apologize if I butcher. Matthew Shields and Cammie Palmer. Let's just go straight at this, right, gentlemen? What do you know about any of these guys, if anything? I'll start with you, Dylan. If Dylan's there. I think we lost Dylan.
No, okay, I'm here. Well, they're young. That's, I think, the biggest thing is, are they proven over a 30-plus week season? I think Palmer is probably going to be the best option. It seems like he's the most true to the group, captained some of the youth teams. I'm curious to see how they end up doing over the course of this kind of season and how much they kind of grow. I don't know what to expect. Defending is not really a game for young people. I think we saw that last year with Hugo Arellano. I think it's kind of the reason that Michael Orozco is so good at defending is the fact that he's 32, 33 years old. That Walker Hume only got better the longer his career went on, from when he was 23 when he first showed up to when he was 26 at the end of last year, barring that game in Salt Lake. I don't know what to expect. Hopefully a change of scenery is good and it inspires them. And I think kind of having that pedigree and a high level of experience already is going to be enough for us, at least.
Hopefully, let me go to you really quick, Alan. Do you know anything about any of these three names? Have you heard, seen, watched anything out of these three young players that are coming over from Rangers?
I haven't done a whole lot of research on them. I think one of the benefits of having some younger players that clearly have been identified as worthy enough to sign with Rangers is you're probably increasing the amount of speed on the pitch, and maybe that they can use that to make up for maybe some of their positional errors. They maybe can get back into position quicker. because they're maybe a little bit more athletic than some of the previous center backs and backline we've had. But I mean, if we put our faith in some of the veterans that are in the team still, I think that those things can be learned kind of quickly. And if looking around the league and seeing the Monarchs goaltender or Aaron Cervantes or Christian Prano show up and be able to compete, I think if one of these three guys really can put in a shift like that, I think that's going to be a positive for the team. That kid's going to get development in a team that really focuses on youth development and has set up their system to kind of coach younger players along. So, I mean, I think it's worth taking a shot. And I think you have to put faith in the system that you have in place that you can get those kids to where they need to be if they're not.
And I mean, really to think about it, right? We're looking at this partnership. Orange County had a partnership with LAFC for a couple seasons, didn't really pan out, didn't really get any help out of that or any positive outcomes out of that for the most part. You have this now partnership with Rangers. Seems like a little bit more of a solid partnership. And again, we talked about it with James when he joined us from Heart and Hand a couple weeks ago. It's not that same partnership with LAFC or the way it was with LAFC with Rangers, because you're not going to have this back and forth throughout the season. Dylan and I think Alan, you've even joined in this at some point. The Alex Cronali loan a couple seasons ago was really hard because there was at some point in that loan where he's going back and forth, where I think his heart was with MLS and he sort of lost that desire to succeed with Orange County, which is understandable for a player that is striving to get to the top of their game. But it doesn't really help out a team like Orange County. So with this, you have these younger players coming over from one of the top clubs of all time in the world, Rangers FC. They have a pretty well established youth system out there where they're getting players, they're developing them. And this is an opportunity for those players to get some first team minutes with Orange County. It's really hard to figure out what the benefit's going to be or what these players will be able to do against grown men in USL Championship. I did reach out to James when the announcement was made about these three players, just to get a quick idea of what to expect, or a quick scouting report for these three players. He did some research for us, reached out to a gentleman that follows the youth program there at Rangers, and he did come back with some information. So we look at Cammy Palmer, who I think, from what I'm reading, he's probably the most ready to step in, or I guess the best out of the three, if we could say that. The message for Cammy Palmer is a very good midfielder who does a bit of everything, but would say is at his best breaking up a play. He has played for Northern Ireland, but is also eligible for Scotland and Canada on the international level. Matthew Shields is a powerful left back who loves to get forward, and he's been capped with Scotland and Ireland at the youth level. So you look at a player like that. I mean, left back is sort of a position of need for Orange County, so we may be seeing Matthew out there quite a bit. And then Danny Finlayson, I guess. We're going to have to figure out how to pronounce that when we get a chance to speak to these three gentlemen. But that he plays center back and right back, was a captain of the under-18 team that won the league and cup double. So maybe there's a chance to see if he can use his voice on the field. So from what we could tell, we got two defenders and a midfielder, but it seems like Cammy Palmer is more of that defensive break up the play type midfielder, which, it's good to have there. Does that change your thoughts on any of these three players with just that brief scouting report, Dylan? Or is it you got to wait to see what they can do out there on the pitch?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is, what do they do here? It's a big change, right? They can't drink here. There's sun. There's a high view index. They're 6,000 miles from home. And even at the reserve level, playing in America is very, very different from playing in Scotland and playing in the lower leagues in England. So it's going to be interesting. And they're going to be playing against grown men and they're children. Look at them. It's scary.
Alan, any last thoughts on these three loanees before we move on?
No, I just, I think as supporters, it's important to encourage those players along and realize Dylan was right. They are really, really far away from home, trying to be professionals in a career that's really kind of difficult and cutthroat at times. So, supporters, we want to make sure that, our team feels supported, and, they're on loan, but it's our job to make sure that they feel welcome and feel that support from game one. I think that could go a long way to help with some of that stuff. So it's something to keep in mind, that maybe they are still kids, and that we all play a part in hopefully bringing them along and giving them a reason to grow and play.
And I think, Orange County Soccer Club, County Line Coalition, the fans there at Championship Soccer Stadium, I think as long as these players come in and try and don't look like they're just there trying to cash checks, I think the fans will get behind them, help support them. It's a really good group of fans there. Especially, County Line Coalition and, the season ticket holders that come out to matches, pretty supportive of the players, as long as they're giving it their all and they're not, half-assing it out there on the pitch. Another bit of news that came out from that announcement with the 3 loanees is that Orange County's Francis Jacobs is going to be traveling out to play with the Rangers under 16 U16 team, playing in the, I guess it's the Alkis International Cup. Rangers won that last season, so Francis Jacobs is going to get a chance to compete with Rangers FC in a competitive format there. And Dylan, what are your thoughts? Do you expect Francis to get a lot of opportunity there, or is it more maybe just an opportunity to get the experience to train and work and possibly get on the pitch out there?
It's
again,
hard to say.
Knowing what we know about the Alkis International Cup,
which is to say nothing, because I really don't follow youth reserve level things. It's hard to say whether or not the experience of just training with Rangers is really going to make a difference here. I think he'll probably get some playing time. I assume some sort of agreement was made there to where he will get some minutes at some point in that cup. I don't know if that means it's at the beginning or the whole time, or when it doesn't matter. But there's no sense in sending him out to Scotland and then all the way out to Qatar just for him to sit on the bench. Ride the pine, I think, is the term.
What about you, Alan? Any thoughts on that, or is it just too difficult really to tell with our lack of youth soccer in Scotland and Europe and in general?
I just think it's a cool experience to even think about that. That gives another reason for developing soccer players in Southern California to sign with Orange County, as they have this opportunity to literally go play in Europe, in by signing in a team in their backyard. I just think it opens up a world of opportunities and makes teams attractive, not just for what they bring on the pitch, but what they can offer with connections to other teams that they might not get otherwise. So it's just one more selling point that Orange County can chalk up to recruit some younger talent. Say, hey, we'll sign you, we'll train you, we'll send you to Scotland, you'll play with us.
All right, let's continue. Hopefully.
I just think it's another recruiting tool that I think you can bring in some young talent, and it seems to be that's what the team wants to do, is sign some veterans and sign some young talent, train them up, and hopefully sell them off. It's a good model, and they're just continuing to impress with their ability to attract and target youth players and really grow that part of USL.
And apology. All right. So apologies for those of you watching on the live feed, having some technical difficulties here. So apologies for that. Or if you're listening on the podcast, you'll probably hear this as well. So again, apologize for any technical difficulties we are having with the feed here. But yeah, so we were talking sort of about Francis Jacobs getting the opportunity, and Alan mentioned sort of this opportunity now for youth players in Southern California, right? It's basically, you look at it, it's not just Orange County talking the talk, but they're actually walking the walk. They're providing these opportunities. What other club is going to provide in America, or even in Southern California, is to provide a 14-year-old an opportunity to travel to Europe, to Qatar, and play and train with a top-notch club in Europe? It's a really unique opportunity. And I think part of why players are really, really looking at Orange County as a destination. And part of that you look at is another recent signing that Orange County announced. I need to pull up because I don't have the name right in front of me because of these technical difficulties. But this is the young man who was playing in NCAA and decided, you know what, I'd rather take my chances, or I'd rather take this opportunity to go pro and see what that can do to help, in my goals to achieve stardom in soccer. Do either of you have the name in front of you? Because I'm just blanking right now and I can't find it on my feed.
Sam Gomez.
Is that it?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to rely on you, Dylan. Go for it.
Well, what do you want to know? I mean, he went to God, I can't. I honestly don't even know.
North Carolina, right?
Oh, you're thinking of Blake Malone.
Blake Malone, yes, Blake Malone.
Yeah, okay. Well, I was thinking of the guy that came in from the trial, which is Sam Gomez, who was at CSUB. No, Blake Malone. I feel like I kind of pointed this out after Seth posted something on Instagram a week or two ago, tagging Blake Malone and another player in there. But I'm fine with us taking these young guys, right? If he's fresh out of college and he's given that up, he's got to prove himself at this level. I think he's probably good enough to play at this level. He might be more of the depth option based on some of the other news we've heard this week. But I think the biggest thing is he's going to try, and maybe that's more than we could have said last year. But like Alan mentioned earlier, the athleticism should be a pretty helpful part of that as well.
Well, and it's very interesting that you get that. I mean, this is someone that's, I believe, on scholarship at a major program in the United States, decides, you know what, I'm going pro, even if it's a second division team. I'm going to go pro because that's going to provide me with the best opportunity for my future as a soccer player. What do you think of that, Alan?
Yeah, I think Orange County is going about things kind of the right way for where they are and where they are. They're not going to be able to splash tons of cash. So you do have to get creative in who you want to bring in and give people opportunities to be professionals. It's one of the things that the coaching staff and the ownership, when you talk to them, it's something that's really important to them. Is they really try to identify talent anywhere they can find it and really try to bring them in. The age really doesn't matter, and they are really focusing on trying to build through the youth, which is super smart. There's a lot of untapped potential. You can avoid a lot of the MLS homegrown shenanigans by being creative with who you sign and giving professional opportunities right away. And then you can kind of control that player's, I don't want to say their destiny, but you really put them in a position to be successful. And then both the player and the club gets to benefit from that. There's a benefit to the club financially, hopefully, eventually. And there's also a benefit to the player for getting into a professional organization sooner than they might have otherwise.
No, definitely. And then Dylan, you mentioned the loan trialists to, I guess, get an invite to the preseason and try and make the club, I guess. Look at it. Was it Sam Gomez, you said? What are your thoughts there? I mean, we've seen over the last couple of seasons, we've seen players that came in basically out of nowhere, got a roster spot and performed, at least well above expectations. What we had coming in, last season you had someone like a Danny Crisostomo. The previous season you had someone like a Giovanni Ramos-Godoy, who sort of just came in and put in the work and got opportunities and took advantage. What are your thoughts on that? Is this going to be another similar scenario where we're going to get a player that sort of came out of nowhere and is contributing, or is this maybe too deep of a team for something like that to happen?
I think he's maybe more of one of the depth options, maybe closer to how we had Giovanni Ramos-Godoy the last 2 seasons, rather than someone that's going to come in like a Crisostomo. And I do think without that Christian Duke injury that we really don't see much, if any, of Danny Crisostomo last season. Coming from a little bit smaller of a school in Bakersfield, but playing good minutes, doesn't do much, it seems, in the attacking side of things. But holding midfielders are important. And I think the more we have, the better, because that's a position where you're picking up a lot of knocks and guys are getting yellow card suspensions throughout the course of the season. So, the more the merrier. And it seems like, at least from the comments that I've seen on social media, he was far and away the best player at the tryouts. And it seems from the little I've seen that he's working hard at this level to try and make the team. So, all I can really ask for is guys that are going to try week in, week out. And, these young guys, that's what they're going to do.
No, definitely. Yeah, it's one of those things where you have some good depth. You're having a player, but who knows? I mean, again, I don't think any of us expected Danny Crisostomo to come out and have the type of seasons he had last season. I don't think any of us expected Giovanni Ramos-Godoy to have the season he had his very first season and the contributions he made to Orange County in those opportunities. So who knows what's going to happen there? But it's a good story. It's one of those those feel good stories you're going to have with a player coming in, trying out for the team and getting his opportunity. And those are the type of players you like, because they're going to try hard. They're going to be those guys that, this is sort of an awesome opportunity, I guess. And they're going to come in and put in their work, and they're going to give it their all, which is awesome. I mean, I go back to thinking about that movie, Rudy, about the kid that goes to Notre Dame as a walk-on, tries to make the team, put his heart out there, just wore his heart on his sleeve. And, even though he didn't show up tremendously on the stat sheets, I mean, it's an awesome story. So hopefully, another diamond in the rough, like we've been finding these last couple seasons. What else do we have? I think we've covered all the major roster moves, or is there anything else you guys can think of? I know there was some news coming out of Europe about a former Rangers player that was playing like in Southend United or something like that. That is supposed to be coming to Orange County, but I haven't heard anything from the club officially. So I don't know if we want to hold off on talking about anything like that until there's an official announcement.
Let's dive right in with it. Come on. Let's break that news.
Okay, go for it, Dylan. Hey, dive into it, Dylan. Let's hear it.
All right. Well, he played at the weekend. Southend United's maybe not the best place at the moment, or haven't been for 5-ish years now. He left Rangers around the same time, I think, as Harry Forrester went to South United. He's been there since. Looks like they it's unclear whether or not he canceled his contract or Orange County is paying some sort of fee. My guess is that he canceled his contract, but Rob Kiernan, who's a pretty experienced center back, which is a needed position of ours. I think this is one of those moves where, other than Harry Forrester, now you have a slightly older experienced player who's, obviously not from England, or not from California. So you've got the Richard Chaplow who's been there and he's successfully integrated here and made himself a home, and hopefully Rob Kiernan does the same while still being able to relate with some of those younger kids, whether or not they're from Rangers or not.
Really quick, you mentioned that he played this weekend. Now, how does the transfer window work for USL? Because I know most leagues, the transfer window closes at the end of January. I know a couple leagues keep it open. So, I mean, if he played this weekend, does that mean something fell through, or I mean, what's the thoughts there?
Well, I think let me see what day it actually was. Yeah, it seems like he'd secured a move away. He could have played on a non-contract basis. I know that is technically allowed. But his manager's Sol Campbell, who Seth Casiple might know.
Come on, we're not allowed to mention that name. Cannot mention that name on here, buddy. You cannot mention that name. I know we're not a Tottenham podcast, but I'm a Tottenham fan. You cannot mention that name.
And so sorry to trigger you. Anyway, so Sol Campbell's the manager of Southampton United, and
Judas.
He asked him to play one more time, and said that he did. He played at the weekend for them, and that he probably is on his way out here. I
know there was the reports or something that Sol Campbell actually said, hey, he's heading out to Orange County. And I think the report said Orange County FC, or I don't know if that's the one that did. There was a couple of reports that I found scoping through the different news articles, and one mentioned Orange County SC, one more mentioned Orange County FC. Our good friend Andy, who was on a couple weeks ago, did mention, I doubt it's FC, because it's pretty much then you're an amateur, you're not really signing a contract. And the news reports were mentioning to sign with Orange County, and it could just be anywhere else but like I think America and maybe Australia. They call it FC, they wouldn't use SC. So who knows? But yeah, I know that was one of the ones, because he has Ranger ties. I reached out to James from Heart and Hand, and he mentioned, I guess when he was with Rangers, it was a few years back. He sort of did a comparison of maybe he's like a defensive Harry Forster in the eyes of Ranger fans.
Oh God. I mean, they have the same agent, so it's not a big surprise that they'd be here together.
But it was a few years back that he played for Rangers, so there's definitely opportunity to grow as a person in there. Just, hey, it is what it is. I sort of said, hey, so is it sort of like a Liam Trotter type player? And, it wasn't quite, I think, there. I don't know. We'll have to see what happens, and what happens if he hits the pitch for Orange County. That's still up in the air of what's going on because of all these weird things. It's what's awesome about, soccer. You got Europe and America. It's such a distance where you're going to get these communication differences, and maybe it's something that's supposed to still be on the down low, but in England or Scotland or wherever he's at, they're announcing things because that's, who cares what the lowly people in Orange County think of. So yeah, potential roster addition there, defensive player, which is desperately needed for Orange County heading into the season for the home opener on March 6th. Any other roster stuff for us to really discuss right now, or have we covered pretty much everything that's been announced or rumored up until this point? I think we've gotten it, right?
I think that's it. Yeah. Just, Gio Ramos-Godoy is obviously not coming back. He's been
trialing out there with Phoenix, or did he sign yet?
I'm not sure if he's signed, but it definitely seems like he might be a little bit more than just a trialist. Who knows? They have a very stacked midfield and attack, even with loss of Adam Johns. So,
yes,
I don't know. He might not see very many minutes, but
I just got to call this out right now because we are live here in California. It's 9:30 our time. There's actually someone, if they're being honest, that just popped onto our YouTube comment saying hi from Inverness, Scotland, if I'm saying that correctly. So hi, Matt. Thanks for listening out there in Scotland early in the morning to the Orange and Black Soccer Cast. Sorry, Dylan, to cut you off on there, but I just thought that was a pretty neat thing to see someone up and early in Scotland listening to us.
It's the world's game.
What are they doing listening to us? No,
it's probably the same guy that tweeted at us earlier.
So let's do this then. Is there any other important soccer news we need to get to before we sort of wrap things up here?
Yeah, Michael Seaton scored a goal on his debut with Victoria Colm.
Makes me sad, but
it wasn't the winning goal because their defense decided to let another one in, but they got a much needed 3 points. So kudos to Mike. I already miss him. I don't know. Alan will probably want to talk about that team slightly to the south of us. He finally looks up. Yes.
Oh, I'm gonna bring this up in random thought, but something amazing happened in the soccer game. So someone alerted me to a highlight that's amazing. So I'm gonna foreshadowing to random thought.
If we had commercial breaks, that would be perfect. We'd go to a commercial break and then come back and hear what Alan's awesome Sockers thing is.
I know they played their first game.
Phoenix fans must be excited about the Sockers.
They should, right? Now they're in doing cheering sections for the Phoenix Coyotes.
Because of Samdor.
Yep. No other soccer news that I care to bring up here.
Perfect. Then we go to our favorite segment of every episode, our random thoughts. Should we go straight to Alan since he sort of teased his exciting Sockers news, or should we go to Dylan and hear what he wants to bore us with in the world of literature? I'll let you pick, Alan.
Well, speaking of Boris, it's a shout out to a soccer player named Boris Pardo. He scored a goal tonight in the Sockers game, and that might not sound shocking unless you know he's the goalie, and he threw the ball the length of the field and scored a goal, his first career goal. Yeah, some of the indoor soccer arena has like slightly shorter fields that soccer goalies can throw the length of the pitch, and they pulled their attack. The goalie was a sixth attacker for the team they were playing. And Boris Pardo scored, I believe it's his first MASL career goal tonight with a pitch-long throw into the back of the net to secure I believe a 9-6 win for the Sockers tonight. So that's my random thought. Yeah, I got a notification that happened, and I was like, what? I was like watching it like 10 times.
Now, did you tweet anything about this out to the Phoenix fans just to see what they thought of this type of play and the scoreline and whatnot, that it's maybe they would complain that it's not real soccer, so you can't count it as a soccer goal?
Kevin from PRFC show says he likes coconut cookies, so I don't trust their judgment at all.
What's wrong with coconut cookies?
Coconut is disgusting. Don't put them on my cookie.
You know what? Okay, we'll talk about it when we get to random thoughts. Dylan, or we're in random thoughts, but I'm going to go to Dylan first anyways. Dylan, go.
Didn't you just get Alan's random thought? So I'm going second.
Yeah, you're going second.
Okay.
Keep up, Dylan. Keep up.
Just confused by your.
I know I'm confusing tonight.
Anyway, there's always a poem, right? And then usually some accompanying thought. This poem's called Graduation. It's by Edward Kunz, which is Kunz. What are you doing over there? Are you singing? Is this a singing podcast now?
It is a singing podcast now.
Gross. My other thought is that we should all be good to each other, because I know there's going to be so much hostility this season with the addition of a team in San Diego. Talking trash at Los Dos is fine because they're like 18 and they don't have any real fans. And yes, Carson is a landfill. But we're all supporters of what is still definitely a fringe sport here in the US, and we don't even like the big league of it. We like the smaller league with its weird intricacies. It's all a game, and we're all basically the same people. So think twice before you send some inflammatory tweet or something. I don't know.
Why? Who's been harassing you on social media, Dylan?
No one. I don't really post, so it's always supportive. You can talk trash to Nisa though, because you're right, Alan, they don't count. They're committed to bringing soccer to 185 or something major metropolitan areas without soccer by putting professional soccer teams in metropolitan areas that already have professional soccer teams.
Now, is
just
that
be good to one another? Read Graduation are you gonna and be good to each other.
How are you dissing Nissa? Isn't that should you not be doing that, man? Let's get to this. First and foremost, got to say, amazing goal this weekend for my Tottenham Hotspur, Steven Bergwijn on his debut. If you haven't watched the goal, go look it up. Just super awesome. Off the chest, volleys it into the net from about 18 yards out. Can't be any more beautiful for a debut goal there on that. And then Dylan, Dylan. Alan, do not diss Coconut. Coconut is awesome. go out and try an Idaho Spud candy. It's basically like a marshmallow type filling with chocolate around it and then coconut flakes all around the outside. It's the best candy. Unfortunately, it's very difficult to find unless you're in Idaho because it's, I guess, a local candy company up there in Idaho. One of my favorite candies ever. So if you get a chance, go try that out.
Eat your vegetables.
Yeah, eat your vegetables. Go eat some butternut squash soup. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, go check earlier into our episode where our wonderful guest shared his recipe for butternut squash soup. What was our guest's name, Dylan?
Seriously? Seth
Seriously.
Casiple. You got to try at some point.
I
never
did.
Let's hear it.
Seth
Again.
Casiple.
You got it down, Alan.
I got it down, man.
Or you're too good for us.
I'm too good for you, man. Perfect. I think
capsules.
I you look at that name, I can see why people mess it up, but
he's never going to speak to us again. I'm so sorry, Seth.
Hey, he seemed like he was fine with it. And there's some crazy noise going outside of our studio here right now as I'm talking to you. So I think we need to wrap things up. Really quick before we do, I want to thank everyone that has that listened to this episode and to all of our past episodes. If you're someone that's been listening to us since day one, thank you so much. We appreciate it. We do this because of people like you that want to hear what we have to say about soccer, Orange County Soccer Club, and then a bunch of random weirdness that we talk about. If you're a brand new listener, like our listener Matt on YouTube today out there in Scotland on the night shift, come back. We're on every single Tuesday, 8:30 California time, or you can look for us on podcast format. That way, if you're on the night shift, you could just listen to our podcast while you're trying to kill some time because you're bored. Go to our website, OCSCpodcast.com, to see or to find every single episode and also read what we have to say news-wise. We try to stay up to date on that, although we all have lives outside of podcasting and sports soccer coverage. But we do our best. What else? Anything else that I got to say before we head out? Oh, one thing I do want to mention is we do have a new sponsor that's covering us, part of the BGN Network sponsorship. So let me read this out. Tired of the same old uniforms and cookie cutter templates from Nike and Adidas? Looking for a unique, completely custom kit for your club or your youth club, Sunday league squad, adult, or even pro team? Icarus FC can help you create the kit of your dreams at an affordable price. Let them help you design your new custom kit today at IcarusFC.com. That's ICARUSFC.com. Is that how you say it? I'm probably pronouncing it completely wrong.
Yeah, it's Icarus.
Icarus. There we go. Icarus FC.
It pays to read.
Again.
It really does.
I don't read enough, apparently. For Dylan, for Alan, this is Ray Samora, the Orange and Black Soccer Cast. And I just got to cue up our outro music, and we are out.
You have been listening to the Orange and Black Soccer Cast. For the latest Orange County SC news and information, visit our website, OCSCpodcast.com. Also, thanks to our sponsor, Roughneck Scarves, official scarf supplier to MLS, USL, and US Soccer. Get custom scarves for your group or team at roughneckscarves.com.